If you come across a flower like this, be aware that it is actually a scorpion disguised as a flower. When they see that their disguise has been detected, all the scorpions hide in fear. Then the skunk picks up a stone and throws it a short distance away. The next moment, all the man-eating flowers hidden in the sand instantly came out. Seeing how good the skunk was, the rabbit immediately invited him to join his adventuring party. This is a strange rabbit. He has the face of a rabbit with a pair of chicken claws. More than 10 years ago, the king rabbit picked him up by the river when he was out adventuring. Looking at his cute face, the prince decided to adopt him that year and gave him the name Jack. As Jack grew up, his strange body was often ridiculed by others, even though his father had become king, but there was still a lot of gossip. This made Jack very sad. He was determined to be a good explorer like his father, to make people think differently about him. So he took the royal expedition test, but his poor skills, which led to him making a fool of himself. He made it to the final stage. He failed the test because of a hat. Everyone felt sorry for him, but what they didn't know was that the hat was the only thing he had left to hide, to prove himself, so that he could find the Dark Hamster Scepter. It was an adventure that even his father had not completed. Once he found the artifact, and no one would ever laugh at him again. So Jack went to the dungeon to ask his uncle Raven for advice. Raven had been imprisoned in the deepest parts of the dungeon for usurping power. Hearing that Jack was looking for the scepter, Raven had deliberately dropped the book on the scepter on the floor. Just as Jack went to get it, Raven took advantage of the situation. He pulled the chicken feathers from Jack's head. In the middle of the night, Raven used the feather to open the prison door and took all the prisoners with him. Raven was about to find the scepter and summoned the dark hamster to take the throne. Yago learned that he was in trouble. He decided to find the scepter first, so he set out on an adventure with his best friend Turtle. Then, they came to a tavern where they were going to find a guide. On the way, they made a new friend, the skunk. Not only was he a great fighter, but he also has a unique skill.
Guys, put these on. Now!
With the skunk on board, Jack was confident in this operation, and the skunk didn't let him down, helping him avoid danger along the way. You think it's a chicken? It's actually a rabbit. Just now, Jack and his partner were on their way to explore when they were ambushed. A group of piglets, disguised as bamboo, captured them. And that was it. The piglets took the men back. One of the little pigs went up to them, tapping the feathers of Jay's chicken with a wooden stick. He was very curious about this unseen breed. Just then, the boss pig appeared. Looking at the three men in front of him, he immediately decided to send them to the volcano, to be sacrificed to the god they believed in. And this deity was a rock shaped like a pig. Then, the piglets started to stack up. The three got into a cage and hung in midair. And in the middle of the night, Jack saw that the key to the cage was in the sleeping piglet's hand. Suddenly a good idea came to him. They decided to tickle the piglet, and to their surprise, it worked. The sneezing piglets all fell down. In no time at all, the piglets piled up into a mountain. Taking advantage of the situation, Jack stole the key, opened the cage and escaped. Having been released from danger, Jack wanted his hat back. He defied his companions. He climbed up the bamboo pole quietly and fell straight down. Luckily, the boss pig was sleeping like a dead pig. When Jack took his hat back, one eye was watching him. Just as Jack was leaving, another accidental step on the piglet's alarm. The signal traveled in layers, instantly waking up the pig's boss. It wasn't long before Jack and the skunk were surrounded. Boss Pig was furious, decided to throw them into a volcanic crisis can. Turtle grabbed the spirit stone, threatened Boss Pig to let the two go. There was nothing he could do. Boss Pig had no choice but to compromise. After successfully rescuing the two men, Turtle threw the stone away, trying to escape while he could, but the stone bounced back to its original position. Boss Pig gave the order. Many little pigs changed their formation. They were chasing after them. The boss even brought out his cannon. In the nick of time, the pigs unleashed their own tricks. The turtle and the skunk escape. Jack is trapped in the same place. You'll never guess. The rabbit has a pair of chicken wings. When faced with a cannonball from a pig boss, Jack didn't give a damn. In this moment, Jack finally regained his confidence. An endless stream of piglets became his springboard. Jack managed to escape to his companions. Seeing a few of them escape, the piglets were furious. They kept firing darts at them. In the nick of time, Jack wrapped his whip around a tree, trying to fall wide across the abyss. The result:
No.
Eventually, the men fell, but luckily there was a pool of water below. That's how they escaped death. And that's when Jack spotted the snowy mountain ahead, and there was the dark scepter. Then the three of them climbed up the snowy mountain, into the cave. But as soon as they entered, they triggered a mechanism inside. The spikes of the scepter slowly closed in on them. They tried to stop it, but found it was useless. In the nick of time, Jack found the button for the mechanism. They were saved from death, but before they could recover, a huge wheel came at them again. At the sight of this, they were so scared that they ran. And that's when Jack accidentally saw a statue on the wall. He seems to be guiding them to something. In the nick of time, they decided to take a gamble. Seeing the entrance appear ahead, the men went in. Through many trials and tribulations, they finally found the scepter.
I'm taking you home.
But just then, Raven appeared out of nowhere, took the two companions into custody, and forced Jack to hand over the scepter. While the two men were at a standstill, Rabin's men flew in from behind. He grabbed the scepter. Raven took the opportunity to seize the scepter. Then he recited the incantation, summoning tens of thousands of dark hamsters. Then Raven had his men throw the three into the abyss, but they fell on a pillar of ice. They were saved from death. It was then that Jack finally came to his senses. He had to be brave enough to stand up and stop this. Then he leapt with his rope. As he was about to hit the ground, his ears suddenly sprouted feathers. At this point Jack turned his weaknesses into strengths. He manages to save his friends. After escaping from the cave, the group was stumped as to how to get down the mountain. And that's when the turtle reveals his secret. It turns out that he was born without a shell. The turtle's shell was left to him by his deceased uncle, so they used the shell to slide all the way to the kingdom. Meanwhile, Raven returned to the kingdom. He summoned countless dark hamsters through his scepter. In a flash, the dark hamsters came pouring out and took over every corner of the kingdom, and the Rabbit King was being humiliated by that side. Just then, Jack and the others arrived just in time. Turtle and the skunks unleashed a bioweapon, and with a stinky fart, he turned the tide. Jack also took the opportunity to retrieve the scepter. Yago finds out that the scepter has already claimed its owner. The only way out of this crisis is to destroy him. Jack escapes outside alone, only to find that the dark hamster has been transformed into a monster. He crashes through the wall and breaks in. Jack falls onto the same field where the game was played. A familiar level reappears in front of him. He was no longer a rookie. Jack's brave entrance. With the help of his wings, he dodged every trick with ease. But just then, the scepter fell on the drawbridge. Raven saw this and immediately ran forward. In the struggle, Jack lost his balance and fell. Raven triumphantly tried to pick up the scepter, only to find that a force was fighting against him. It was Jack down there. Furious, Raven began to slash the bridge with his knife. This caused the bridge to break. Both of them fell, and the scepter fell into the abyss. In the nick of time, Jack grabbed his uncle's hand, but instead of being grateful, Instead, he stepped on Jack's face and climbed up, and then he kicked Jack down. But just then, the rope was suddenly burned off. Raven fell too.
If I'm going down, at least I'm taking you with me.
With the destruction of the scepter, a great energy gushed out from the depths of the abyss. Jack flew up with his arms wide open and followed the energy, and his uncle Raven simply disappeared. At the same time, the dark hamster of the kingdom was fading away, back to its former form, and Jack was reborn from the abyss, soaring free in the sky. By the end of the story, Jack is finally recognized by the world, and the three of them became the heroes of the kingdom. It wasn't long before they embarked on a new